What is your strangest fear? Redditor 3, open waters. Well, not exactly water itself, it's more about what's in it. When you think about it at first, it seems a stupid and you watch too much Jaws kind of fear. But, what I mean, there is so much strange shit going on under you and you can't even see it. I guess the primal fear of the unknown. For example, I know that a lion or bear would be much more dangerous to me than a shark, but if I saw it running at me intending to bite a big chunk of my body off, at least there would be something I could do well, theoretically. But with a shark? That mother ducker can just swim 50 centimeters under me, have a mouthful of my beloved flesh, and I would only notice shortly after my intestines started to mix with the nice and salty ocean water. Redditor 4, floating upwards to the sun. Why do I have this fear? Unless physics takes a day off, I'm pretty certain that I'll be okay. Redditor 5, windows. At night I pretty much completely avoid looking outside because I've convinced myself that someone or some gross alien thing is looking through the window plotting to kill me or something. Just thinking about someone watching me without my knowledge freaks me out. Even my webcam make me paranoid because I think someone might be stalking me somehow, so I have to face it downwards when I'm not using it. And mayonnaise. Duck mayonnaise. I'm a completely reasonable person. Redditor 6, I've seen so many threads like this, and after lurking for about a year finally had to create an account just to post this. I am utterly terrified of werewolves. I am a 30-year-old man, and they scare the heck out of me. Drawn picture. Movie. In-game monster. Whatever. I don't even like being out at night during a full moon. Redditor 7, choking on marshmallows. Completely irrational. But ever since that kid died from playing Chubby Bunny some years ago, I've stayed away from those puffy death machines. Redditor 10, I'm afraid I'll wind up lonely, without having accomplished anything or having influenced the life of anyone in a meaningful way. My strangest fear, though, is that one day I'll sit on the toilet, defecating. And somehow I take a dump so big, that it rips out my intestines. Because of this fear I often go to the bathroom several times a day, so the buildup won't get too large. Redditor 11, I absolutely hate cotton wool. The noise it makes and the feel. If I touch it for too long I start gagging. And when I am at the dentist and they put it in my mouth I have to ignore it or else I start panicking. Redditor 12, ever since seeing Paranormal Activity 3 I occasionally will get terrified that some unknown force is present right behind me, or get the horrible feeling I am being watched, even though I know I am not. It can freak the heck out of me though. Redditor 15, I am afraid of ghost skeletal horses in lakes. Why? Well, it started when I was a wee lass and me and my family visited a popular lake during summers. Among the many children on the beach, a typical event to prove your worth was to swim across the lake and hang on the other side. I was still too small and not a very strong swimmer, so I was forbidden to go. My big brother felt that and he was probably right, I might do it anyway, so he decided to put some fear in me. My hometown is a big military town, or as the saying goes, the place God forgot, the devil didn't want and the army bought. So it wasn't far-fetched for my brother to fool me with tales of military horses forced to swim the lakes and drowning. He said that no one wants this to be public, but every now and then a child drowns in the lake. Not because they can't swim, or because they suddenly got a cramp or became tired, no, because the ghost skeletons of the war horses rises up and sinks their teeth into the child's ankle, slowly pulling him down to the bottom where he dies. I have never swam across that lake, and yes, I know they don't exist. But ever since I have a fear of water and what lies beneath. Redditor 16, I don't go to urinals because I fear that someone will come from behind me, and just start tickling me. Redditor 17, huge flying tropical roaches. I am horrified of the possibility of them landing on me and getting caught in my hair. Happened when I was little and I have hated those suckers ever since. I can handle snakes, rats, spiders and the like, but a 3-inch roach flying at my head will make me scream and run in terror, every time. Edit, I oopsed a word. Redditor 18, blank walls falling and specifically landing on something that stabs out my eye, falling out of a roller coaster goes off track and crashes, leeches bad, mentally scarring experience when I was little. Centipedes. Other than the leeches I have no clue where these fears came from. Redditor 19, also, finding someone dead on the toilet. That way you have to face a dead body and you don't get to take the shit you were looking forward to. Redditor 20, my strangest fear out of all my millions of fears is probably cutting off my DCK when I'm drunk, like I apparently have tried to several times. Redditor 21, that I will never have an interesting life, or have awesome friends group. I do have friends and I do have a life, but when I hear other PPL talking about their own life, then I look at mine and it's kinda depressing. Redditor 22, blue food. It's more than a dislike, it's bordering on an actual phobia. I've stopped eating M&Ms because I can't stand the thought that all the other ones touch the blue ones. I feel like blue food will poison me or something, I don't know. Redditor 34, I'll never be understood, and so I'll go through my life explaining myself. This is actually the truth, for the most part. The real kicker is when something finally does click for a person, they'll turn to me and say something that's basically exactly what I said, and also what I've been saying, from the get-go. It gets frustrating, because I feel like I've really worked very hard on using my words clearly and efficiently. I also do not like to cross the street, nor am I keen on putting in new light bulbs. Anything that happens above me in the sky, I remain convinced death by asteroid or faulty plane mechanics is just moments away. Redditor 37, adults who dress and act like babies. I can't stand it, my skin crawls even if I hear about it. The whole adult nappy thing, eating baby food, all of it just creeps me the heck out. I can't even look at a picture of it. Hear me out. I fucking despise spiders of all shapes and sizes and will happily panic myself into thinking the world's ending because one is near me. Ironic part? I want a scorpion. You know, something that stings, pinches and hurts when it's annoyed at you? Yeah. The varieties of spiders in the UK generally don't do that. It's fucking strange. Scared of something that won't hurt me, but like the things that do. Redditor 41, I'm scared that if I ever trip over, I'm going to hit my teeth on something hard. What? You asked for strangest. Redditor 42, using the telephone. I've reached a point where I'm only slightly uncomfortable talking to friends and family. When the phone rings and there's no caller ID, I leave the room and pretend not to hear it. When I'm forced to make a phone call to a stranger due to adult responsibilities, I feel like being sick and get nasty, cold sweaty adrenaline withdrawal afterwards. Redditor 49, I have a deep and obsessive fear of dying alone. But not for the reasons you might think. No, I fear dying alone because I'm deeply afraid that if I die with no one around, no one will think to check on me for a few days, weeks, and my pets will have started eating me by the time someone finds my body. That, and I have a terrible fear of getting a spider caught in my hair. I have really thick, hip-length hair, and the thought of spider legs tangled up in there is, I can't even think of it without shuddering. Redditor 50, that I matter. I love the feeling of being an insignificant piece of the universe, a completely random composition of matter. Knowing that all of my actions actually mean something fucking turfies me, I am not prepared for the consequences. I like being small. Redditor 53, I have a fear of walking up or down staircases without the help of some support like a wall or a banister. I just need to have some support, or at least know that support is there for me. This also includes escalators to some extent, as I always hesitate to step on one until I hold the side. One of the scariest things I've had to go through was climbing up the Great Wall China, i.e. the part that all the tourists go to, near Beijing. And as my group was on a school trip, this was 4 years ago, went during peak hours, it was packed, and all the fucking tourists were using the side railings, and I had to go up through the middle with no support, and luckily going back down I used the railings. Whenever someone was in my way, I just stared back as if to say, fuck you. I need this railing more than you. What made it worse was that the step weren't even due to wear and tear over the years, so you would nearly trip and fall, if you misjudged a step. To clarify, apparently this fear was due to an incident when I was around 2-3, my mum told me about this roughly 2 years ago. I was with my childminder and I ran off from her when we were in a shopping mall, and went down an escalator by myself, which is pretty boss for a 2-3-year-old. And then my childminder found me and shouted at me, emotionally scarring me still to this day. Redditor 57, I have a fear of people touching my bare legs. I'm fine if I'm wearing jeans, leggings, whatever. But if someone touches just my leg, I squirm and jerk my leg away, move their hand, and just feel uncomfortable. Same goes if their leg is resting up against mine. If my leg is bare, I have to inch it away from theirs. I absolutely hate it. And when I told my partner in gym why I pulled away, she proceeded to wrap herself around my leg, shouting, "Am I freaking you out?" I flipped out. Redditor 58, when I'm drinking out of the bathroom faucet, which is either incredibly normal or really weird, I'm actually really not sure. Anyway, when I'm drinking from the faucet, I always worry someone will startle me and I'll smash my teeth off the faucet. I've told everyone I can think of to never touch while my head is buried in the sink. Redditor 63, Native Americans. I'm not entirely sure why either. And vents pools. If I'm close to one I freak and almost down while trying to frantically doggy paddle away. Redditor 64, I do not like the noise of someone else brushing their teeth. I have to leave the room. If it's on TV then I close my eyes and think about something else. Redditor 65, I also share that fear to those aliens graze man. I am terrified. That is the only strange fear. I thought I was alone. My ex used to send me pics of aliens just to scare me the crap out. Intense. Redditor 70, being held still. Nobody touch me or take me into a crowd where I can't move freely or I'll have a panic attack. I have ADHD and move around a lot. I think it's related to this. Redditor 75, I have a fear where if someone is driving other than me, I am most certain we will die in a wreck. However, if I am driving, I feel normal, safe. If someone I love were to die in a wreck that I could have prevented by driving them myself, I would never forgive myself. Even if I would have wrecked anyway. I like the feeling of control, even if it is an illusion. Redditor 76, that I will leave something plugged in, like a cell phone charger or a toaster, that will catch fire when I'm either asleep or out of the house. I have turned around halfway to work before and gone back home to make sure things were unplugged. I know it doesn't really work that way, but it doesn't matter. I'm still scared of it. Redditor 77, I hate elevators but my strangest fear is that my house will burn down while I am away. I've never known anyone who have had a house burn down and I have lived in crappy apartments that have never burned down, but usually the last half hour of driving home after being away for a weekend or more I think I'm going to turn the corner onto my block and see smoldering ashes where my house used to be. Redditor 80, natural bodies of water, odd numbers on digital volume controls. Redditor 83, I'm afraid that I'll come home one day and some other family will be moving into my house. And even worse, there is nothing I can do about it because they found some loophole in the law. Then everyone tells me it's no big deal. Redditor 87, I have two-ish and they're really strange. One, dolls, wax sculptures, statues of people, it's the eyes, man. The more realistic, the worse it is, though sometimes even just a picture of a face can freak me out if I'm not prepared for it. My boyfriend had some of this late mother's dolls around the house and I literally made him put them in the garage when I came over and saw them. 2, looking up at tall structures. Especially ones with intricate architecture like statues, etc. What's worse is if these two are combined, like the Sphinx at Luxor in Las Vegas, the statue at Bada Caves in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, or the Statue of Liberty in New York. Literally can't get near the area, especially if I'm in eyeshot of them. The weirdest part though, is that when I'm traveling, I'm somehow able to lessen my phobias. Like, after I had been in London for a few days I was able to walk past Madame Tussauds and barely flinched. I actually did go to the Bada Caves and didn't completely panic, mind you. I couldn't look up after I got within a certain proximity to it. I even stood right under the Eiffel Tower and was able to look up, even though it took me a while to do it. But as soon as I come home after traveling, they all come back. So weird. Redditor 88, relatively strong wind. If there are market stalls in the town center where I live and the wind is just blowing the tarpaulin around the scaffold and lampposts are shaking a little, then I freak out and immediately assume every standing structure is as robust as a Jenga tower. Redditor 89, that I will be out drinking, and my appendix will suddenly need emergency surgery. I've been drinking, however, and can't get pain meds. So I need to be without painkillers watching my appendix removed from me while. I don't know if I can watch myself get cut open like that without some powerful drugs. Redditor 90, I'm scared of walking under light bulbs cause once I turned on the light and the bulb fell down and almost fell on my head, by like an inch away. I always walk around them. Redditor 92, I'm afraid of things collapsing. So if I am on a tall building, heck even if I climb a tree, I am not afraid of the height but that, whatever I am on, might collapse by itself, or because there are a lot of people on top, or weather. Redditor 93, pregnant women. I am a female, and the thought that there is something grow in a person, makes me extremely unsettled. There is a person in a person, and it is feeding of the person. Redditor 94, I lean away from the steering wheel if I'm driving while sipping from a glass bottle. For some reason, I'm afraid of the airbag randomly going off and sending a glass nightmare into the back of my head. Also driving related, if I'm driving the windows down and pass by someone mowing the lawn, I'll roll my windows up or kind of shrink away. You know. In case they hurl a pebble or some shit directly into my eye. Redditor 98, being pregnant and giving birth. I'm not entirely against children, but I just can't stomach pun intended the idea of something that's not me feeding off my nutrients and growing and kicking inside me then ripping through my vagina 9 months later. I guess it's sort of a general fear of parasitic growth inside me, but since I'm very careful with what I eat and medication, pregnancy is one that I'll more likely have to deal with. Redditor 99, Randy, I have the exact same fear. I'm a grown man, 24 years old, lived on my own for 4 years, been in the army for 7, but I get the picture of aliens in my head and I can't sleep. I'll probably struggle to get some sleep tonight, just from this. Redditor 102, as a child I was terrified of artsy Canadian cartoons like the ones that would come on O Canada on Cartoon Network late at night. I'm talking cold sweats, trembling, nightmares every night scared. Even now at 26 years old they still make me uncomfortable and panicky. Redditor 103, that one day Oprah will behead everyone in her studio audience and throw their heads off a cliff. If I don't guess what ethnicity each person is before their head hits the cliff bed below, Oprah will end the world. Redditor 104, the fucking dark. Sometimes I'll be trying to sleep and I open my eyes to a semi-pitch black room, and my mind replaces every dark shape with the most terrifying thing possible. Redditor 105, sunlight. I got burned badly as a kid so now I get really uncomfortable when I feel sunlight on my skin. It's not too bad, I can function on a sunny day, I just have lots of long sleeve clothing. I never wear shorts and bust out the hats when I don't have a choice to hide in the shade. I do wear sunscreen but still feel freaked out when sunlight hits me. Lucky I live in England where we have like 5 days of sun a year. Redditor 106, if it's been mentioned but open water, ocean in particular, both from what we know is down there and what we don't. The earth is 2-3 water and we have only explored a minuscule amount of that water. Redditor 111, I'm afraid of being lost in a foreign land and never being able to see or talk to my family and friends again. Found this out from a dream I had of being stranded in Colorado during a zombie apocalypse. My entire family is in Asia, so in the event of a major communications blackout with no way of ever knowing whether they're okay or not. Well, let's just say I was staring across the horizon on a mountaintop, and it was the saddest I had ever felt in my life. Redditor 112, I'm not scared of height. Skyscraper viewing decks and airplanes and the tops of waterfalls are fine. I'm not afraid of falling. Jumping into a lake from a low bridge is fun. Cliff jumping is fun if you're safe enough. I'm afraid of the feeling I get at the top of a structure too high to jump from, but too low to die from, because all I want to do is jump. Railroad bridge over a river, at the very top. I can feel it right now, and it's intense and devastating at the same time. Redditor 113, man-made bodies of water, reservoirs, man-made lakes, and metal buoys. They make me incredibly uncomfortable, freaked out. Redditor 114, not me, but a friend. He is deathly afraid of styrofoam. He doesn't like it touching him or the sound it makes. We were sharing a hotel room in Dallas and I had one of those styrofoam bear coolers for our food, and when I went to lift off the cover he hid in the bathroom. Also he's a ginger, so that could have played a major role. Redditor 115, carrying a submerged towel. When I was 11, someone threw my favorite towel to me when I was swimming in a river. I tried getting out, but the towel was too heavy to climb up the ladder onto the pontoon with. I thought wet towels will drown you, and it was only 6 months ago my friends explained to me that it's only when you take them out the water that shit goes down. Fuck. Redditor 116, I hate being in the shower when I'm home alone. Instead of a curtain, the door is made of a hazy glass that you can see through, but you can't see facial features or anything like that. I'm terrified to look and see someone standing there. Redditor 117, I'm a female in my late 20s with no significant medical history, and I'm terrified of having a heart attack. Whenever I feel the slightest twinge in my arm or chest, I'm like, holy shit, this is it. Redditor 123, I have a fear of running too much bathwater into the bath and it overflowing. I call this overflowbia. For years I'd dash back to the bathroom about 5 minutes after I'd left the tap running to find about 6 inches of water in the bath. Redditor 127, I have a fairly irrational fear of swallowing something before I feel I have chewed it down to size or such. As a result, I have the absolute worst time convincing my body to swallow pills. And fatty meat? I spend extra time chomping on it till it's good and ready. I'd be surprised to meet anyone that shares a similar phobia. Redditor 128, I used to be deathly afraid of upright pianos with the covers taken off. Fucking stupid really, given I've been playing the piano for 14-15 years? Grew out of it in the end I think, but time was if someone started taking one to bits I'd be straight out the door. Redditor 129, I too have a fear of aliens that I had forgotten about until 2 days ago when a nightmare brought it back. I am also afraid of being buried alive in the feel of suede fabric. Redditor 130, I feel you bro. The thought that bugs me most is not exactly a fear of the dark, but rather the fear of what is in the dark. Redditor 131, heights. I know it's common, but it seems irrational. Even if I'm strapped onto something, I still get panicked. Makes no sense to me. I love roller coasters and the such because they scare the shit out of me. Redditor 132, I love astrology and sciences of outer space. I mean, I really fucking love it. Ever since I was a child I had a profound sense of the universe that other children I was in school with did not possess. I love it so much that I've been contemplating quitting my job now and returning to university to work my way to becoming an astrophysicist. But it was about 10 years ago when my fear started. I had a really bad acid trip among other things, when I was young and going through a lot of experimental times. And for no reason at all I developed a fear of the abyss of space. It's taken me years to get back to the point where I am now. Back to almost being normal. But every too often I get a flare-up, and my fear takes over again for a few weeks. I also figure the best way to overcome fear is to face it directly. Redditor 133, that, while walking home from the shop to my house in quiet rural Ireland, I'll get killed in a drive-by shooting on a particular corner beside a church on my road. The worst crime committed in my village in the last 20 years has probably been speeding. Redditor 134, I have this constant fear that I am actually asleep and doing whatever action I am doing, while asleep. It makes it incredibly difficult to poop in peace when you are worried that you are going to wake up at any moment and realize that you are actually pooping in the middle of a business meeting. Or during sexy time with the wife, hoping I don't wake up to realize I am still in high school and am actually binging the teacher's desk while everyone stares in horror. I think I need therapy. Redditor 135, I'm afraid of mirrors. I'm afraid that one day, maybe while brushing my teeth or whatever, I'm going to look away then look back and see something that isn't supposed to be there. Especially if it's behind me. Redditor 136, the sea at night. It looks so lonely and depressing. Redditor 137, I have a strange irrational fear of the motion tracker beep in Aliens. Every time I hear it I have to turn the sound off. I can watch the gore and shocks, but that steadily increasing beep. I literally could not make it past the first level of Aliens vs Predator. Scares me every time. Redditor 138, I have a couple strange fears. One, I am afraid of mirrors in the dark. It's stupid, but I'm terrified I'll look up and something will be looking back at me. I will not look at a mirror in a dark room. 2 windows at night. There used to be a deck right outside my window, and it reinforced this fear. The deck would settle, and sound like someone was out there walking about, And it was entirely feasible for someone to peer into my window at night. Shudder. 3. I will have random bad nights where no part of my body can stick off the bed. Some nights I'll hang a foot, arm, knee off the edge and be fine. Other nights I'm curled in the tightest ball possible in the absolute center. Not sure why.